viewers, you're welcome to another fresh edition of Let's Discuss on OSBC TV. Today's edition also promises to be educative, revealing, and exciting. Welcome on board. It cannot be an overstatement to say that technical and vocational education is engine for economic growth. As you have known that no nation can prosecute a war without its army, so also no nation can develop without well-equipped technical and vocational institutions. Today we will also look at the interventions of the government in that sector, technical and vocational education. Welcome to the program. My name is Adebare Ejimakide. I'm not alone on the program. I have my co-presenter who will also introduce our guest to you.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Oluchi Amuda. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Let's Discuss. Yes, the issue we're discussing today is a very, very important one. And as Ejimakide rightly put it, no nation can develop without paying attention to the technical and vocational education sector. Yes, we have a guest in the house, someone eminently qualified to actually discuss this issue with us this morning. He is the special advisor to the Governor of Technical and Vocational Education, Architect Dapo, Ademola Adeshina. You're welcome to the program, sir.
You're welcome to the program, Architect.
So when we talk about technical education, vocational education, what does that mean?
Technical and vocational education means a lot for any state to go. I will bring it down to our state. Nigeria today, Osun State has the highest number of technical colleges in the country.
Wow.
You know, it's a privilege, and this was established during the Ademola administration. You see, when we utilize technical education, we can cut unemployment, we can create jobs for youth, we can drive the IGR of a state up, and in different ways. There was a day I was listening to the news, Arise News, and I heard Ruben Abati, and he said, in the nation today, technical and vocational education is the way to go, in which states must try to adopt or try to develop that technical and vocational education. I caught it and it never left me. And if you ask me, how is that? Now, as a graduate, I went to Obafemi Law University and I schooled abroad. Today, what is the guarantee that if a student graduates, there's a job waiting for you? It's almost zero. But if we develop our technical and vocational education, students can own their business, they can develop skills, and they can become entrepreneurs. So that kills unemployment. It slashes it down by 50%.
Okay, is there any difference between the technical and the vocational terms, or are they synonyms?
See, they're twins. Because you see, vocational is more easier than technical. Technical is like you have to go to school, you have to specialize in certain things, and you get certified. Vocational is like skills acquisition. You set up a place, you train people, either they are educated or they're not educated. Like things like hairdressing, barbing. But see, the problem is that we don't pay attention to vocational. Even in Osun State, there's a vocational skills center. I think I'm not the right that was established. I think that was established by the last administration. The amount of equipment that were embedded there, it was locked up. But we see the administration of the delegate that found out that this is an asset to the state. You know, so we have to really understand how technical and vocational education works. It's very important. It's very vital to an economy of a state and as a nation as a whole, especially in times like this. So I'm very happy to be special advisor, and I will do anything it takes with the backing of my principal, His Excellency Senator Ademola Jackson.
Thank you very much. Now, if you look at the way the education curriculum is, structured in Nigeria, and the kind of mindset that parents do have, they always prefer their children or wards to have a university education. But over the years, you discover that graduates these days, once they are done with the university education, they still have to go back to learning skills. Now, who is responsible, for actually, giving that kind of mindset? Why do you think that government is not encouraging parents to discover the talent in their children and tailor it or channel it towards what they actually need? If your child is talented in craft work and the rest, you know that what he or she needs is a technical school. Why do we have that kind of mindset that everybody must be a university graduate?
You see, that's the mindset for parents, but you see, that mindset must change. That's one of the reasons why we had a meeting at the Ministry of Education. The world is changing. Back in the days, there were no cell phones, there were no cameras, there was no Twitter, there was no IG. But now, we have to go in line with what is going on in the global economy. You see, I'm not saying that people should not go to university and get a degree. I'm for that. But you see, it's not everybody that should go to university. Let me give you an example. In the Western world, going to university is not for everybody. Owning the business is not for everybody. Okay? Let me give you a typical example. I was in the US one time and I had to fix something for my son. Okay, and I had to go to a website to call an engineer. Okay, and he charged me. I can't remember how much he charged me, $200 or $300. So this is a guy that he had a van and he had all his equipment in the van. Now, when he came, I did not ask him if he's a graduate. He didn't show me his certificate. I wanted my work done. Lo and behold, my work was done. And I started interviewing him. How long has he been doing that? He said that's how he did. He was working somewhere. He specialized in doing certain kind of work, and that's what he does, and that's how he earns it. See, we must bring this mindset back to Nigeria.
All right. Thank you. As the misconception that the technical and vocational education is meant for the disabled being defeated, why I have it, and you have to explain what categories of people that this technical and education vocational meant for in this country.
No, it's for everybody. There's no bias whether you're disabled or you're not disabled, as long as you have the willingness, the mindset to learn a trade or a craft. Because there are so many disabled people that are very good in crafts. There are so many disabled people that are good in tiling. There are disabled people that are good in barbing. So it has nothing to do with whether you are disabled. But the problem is the children, the Gen Z generation. Some of them are not ready to work. That is our main problem. They want easy money. Just like on my way here, there were some boys, in my town that came to me and they always want me to give them money. I said, no, if I'm going to do this, if you do this and this, I'll give you money. They were even asking me for advance. I said, no, you finish, I pay you money, you go, and I'll get more works for you. So there's no bias. It's just you are skilled in a certain trade and you become a master of that trade. It doesn't matter whether you have one leg or it doesn't matter whether you have one hand. There's no discrimination in my own view.
Okay.
None at all.
Now you talked about the Gen Z generation that's always living on the fast lane, looking for quick money. Now they have this idea that when you learn a skill, it takes a lot of time. They are not really patient. Now, how do we get to this stage? Who is responsible? Is it the parents, the society, or the government?
I won't blame the parents, but it's the society, and it's the way the society is moving. But see, the thing is that in life you must always reinvent yourself. You cannot always move with the way the society is moving. You must sit back and ask yourself questions. Is this what I really want to do? Am I deviating from what I'm ordained to do as a young person? And that's why I tell young people, when a young person tells me he or she is looking for a job, I tell them, what is your area of specialization? Have you tried to volunteer? I think because that's the easiest way to enter a corporation. You volunteer first. When you volunteer, you show that you are a master of your game. And that's how you can get employment.
Okay, why is it that most of the young people prefer university education to technical and vocational education? Why is it so? They are not interested in that.
The problem is, I'm not killing university education. But you see, there are people who are barbers. There are people who are known for carpentry. There are people who are known for tiling, with or without university degree. And you see, this is an area which you must know yourself. Now, it's not everybody that wants to be an engineer. It's not everybody that wants to be an architect. As left for certain people. In my own situation, when I got admission into University of Ife, I didn't want to study architecture. I wanted computer engineering. But my dad loved me to study architecture. And I studied architecture. But when I went back to the United States, I studied finance. And I love it, and I don't regret it. And that's where I had to reinvent myself, ask myself questions. What do I really want to do?
Okay, now let's look at the technical and vocational education sector. You discover that in most parts of the country, just as parents are not keen to having their children learn skills, government itself is not willing to emerge. Discover that some of these schools are either abandoned, ill-equipped, dilapidated buildings. Now, the state government has been doing a lot in the area of education. And you said they have a lot of plans for the technical and vocational education. So what are the plans the government has for the sector?
The administration of our governor, His Excellency Senator Ademola is exceptional from what other governments are doing. Let me give you an example now. In Delta State, there is a commissioner for technical and vocational education. There is a commissioner for secondary schools. Okay, let's bring it back to our state. We have 9 technical colleges. We must lead by example. We must set the pace. Now you've asked me, what has government doing? This administration has not neglected technical and vocational education. Because the government has given me a margin that you resuscitate through the farm. Okay, now there's a program. There's a project called Skill G, which was started by the administration of Governor Oyelola. And they commissioned that company to reconstruct and revamp the technical colleges. But because of politics, from the Oyelola regime to the Adeshina regime to the Oyelola regime, because of politics, they undermined what Governor Oyelola started. But later realized that this is a good area. And I try to tell most of my colleagues and principals in the state, Osun State was not a gold mine. There are equipments in government technical colleges and Oshogo that are worth close to 4 billion naira that were bought for the revamping of these technical colleges. And they are there because the issue of this QG project, which was stopped. And it's our prayer that the administration will call them back and we'll get the other 5 technical colleges reconstructed and revamped. In that way, if that is done, we can increase our IGR. We can make a way in which most of the courses that are being offered can be restructured. We can review the curriculum and make it very attractive. So we have an opportunity, we are sitting on an opportunity, and I believe that the government has given a mandate to push that opportunity.
Okay, how can graduates from the technical and vocational institutions be helped to be self-reliant? Most of them, when they graduated from school, they face challenges of moving forward in life? What is the focus of the government?
You see, there are several grants available to help young entrepreneurs, and this is one thing the administration of the administration has done. Last week, I was supposed to have a meeting with the Industrial Training Fund to see how we can partner, how they can partner with us in Osun State. Because see, there are grants available by the federal government, but if you don't access it, they will not bring it forward. So that is what we are doing in Osun State and in the technical area, to make sure we try to access these grants. Because you see, the problem with successive governments is that there are things hidden and they won't come out, but you have to look for where it is. So once we can revamp the technical and vocational education, there will be a curriculum or a program that people want to go into business. The government can give them a kind of a loan that they can start on their business, and then that loan can either be paid back or can either be forgiven once there's seriousness in that aspect.
Okay, you've explained some of the state of technical and vocational institutions in the state. I want you to say more on that. What is the state of the facilities and as well personnel in that area? What are your findings and the necessary actions that people should be expected towards moving the sector forward?
So what we are doing now is we just had a meeting. This is my second time meeting the principals, and we had a first meeting at the Ministry of Education, so that we can come in as a family and discuss the challenges, brainstorm on ideas on how to move the board for Osun State Board for Technical and Vocational Education, and we've invited consultants to give us ideas on how we can train the teachers, train the principals, because the principals and the teachers need exposure. Once they're exposed, they can give knowledge to students. But without exposure, what are they going to teach? Just like, for example, a teacher who could not use a computer driver, how is he going to teach a program? So this is what the Osun State Board for Technical and Vocational Education are working on. We need to revamp the whole curriculum. We need to change the mindset of the principals. We need to change the mindset of the students. We want to create an awareness for technical and vocational education. Now we want to say, okay, you can still, if you want to go to university, fine. But if you don't want to go in that line, technical and vocational education is the way to go. It's the way to establish your business. There's photography, there's barbing, all these things you can make lots of money from that and earn a living. Not necessarily being an engineer, not necessarily being an architect, not necessarily being a doctor or a nurse. These are areas where, if that is your desire, that's fine. But for Osun State, and a state like this, we are lucky to have a dynamic governor who is a listening governor. And if the VC of UNIOSUN can go to the governor, and the governor has granted his request, talk less of technical and vocational education, talk less of his commitment to education, because education is one of his 5-point agenda. And the governor that I know personally is a compassionate man. He's a kind man. He's moved by what will move Osun State forward.
For those people that might not understand you, I want you to explain what are the requests of the VC and what have been the intervention on the part of the...
When we had the education summit,
yes,
and the VC was called upon to give an address, and he was telling us the first time he went, there was a building that was forgotten by administrations, and he went to the governor and said, "Sir, please, this building has been abandoned. If you can just help us and give us money so that we can turn this building and make it available for a certain faculty." And it was done. The governor said, "Done." He went back again. There's one or two, I can't remember vividly, but there's 1 or 2 or 3 requests that he went back, and the governor said done, and it was short.
You're right, it was in the news then.
To have a dynamic governor, who is one of the most popular governor, can do that for a VC of a tertiary institution. Talk less of the government technical colleges. No, I don't have no idea of that. That these governments are working on it, and we are going to provide technical and vocational education in Osun State.
Thank you very much, Architect Dapo Ademola Adeshina. He is a special advisor to the Governor of Technical and Vocational Education in Osun State. Yes, we have been discussing the development of technical and vocational education. Now you have mentioned plans of training and retraining the teachers and principals in the area. Now let's talk about the students now. One of the major problems the youth, facing the youth in Nigeria is the issue of drug abuse. Discovered that a lot of youth these days, due to probably bad association and all the rest, take into drug. Now, do you have any plan of actually, ensuring that the youth channel their energy into positive ventures?
So that it cannot hinder their learning activities.
You see, the use of drug abuse is an individual thing. And I strongly believe it's for the parents. It's a joint effort and not only the responsibility of the government.
Okay.
It's a joint effort in the sense that the parents must instill discipline in their students. Now, what we have done in the education sector is that we have commissioned Peace Corps to be in all the schools to enforce discipline. Mind you, these Peace Corps are volunteers. They're not paid. They are volunteers. And when I went to one of their seminars, or one of their events, and I was moved. All the special advisors were given certain days to go there. So on the last day, I went there with the commissioner of the PAMSEC and the special advisor in education. And I didn't want to go because I didn't really pay attention to the Peace Corps. But one thing that moved me was that these Peace Corps waited for us for hours, sitting on the floor. And when I got there, I was moved. These are people waiting for us, sitting on the floor. When the students resumed, they found that they're ready to go without any pay. So, what I'm saying is a collective effort. What the government has done by giving Peace Corps the opportunity to be in schools, to instill discipline, to check truancy, that's one. Now it's the responsibility of the parent to make sure that child is well behaved. We were all students. We were all youngsters. If I asked, why didn't you take job? If I asked her, why didn't you take job? There was something in you that said, that's not the way to go. So it's to me, it's the responsibility of the parents and the child, because the child must learn to know what is right from what is wrong.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can technical and vocational education as well as training have positive impact on the economic growth of the country, and in what ways?
It has tremendous impact on the growth of not only a state, but on the economy. And by the grace of God, we are going to lead Nigeria. Let me give you one area. The technical college in Nisha specializes in training tilers. I don't know if you are aware, the best tilers are from Togo or Benin Republic. Best people who know how to tile. But we have machinery in Nisha that can train tilers. So if people key into that, get trained, set up your business, that's income.
They contribute to the GDP
GDP
of the country.
There are several areas. In Oshogo, we have an automobile workshop with state-of-the-art equipment, lot of. They can train mechanics. So what I've been trying to talk to the house is that they need to try and pass a bill. Once we get the technical colleges up to standard, they pass a bill and make sure every mechanic, hairdresser, barber, or tiler pays a fee to be certified, which is renewal.
Okay.
A minimum fee that comes to the coffers of the state. So let's say, for example, 10,000. If you multiply 10,000 by maybe, let's say there are 20,000 barbers or consider that to be a multiplier effect in each trade. As little as it come into the coffers of home, that will raise our IGR in an area that people don't expect. See, these are the things, these are the ideas that we must try to learn from the Western world, because that is what they do. You know, that's what they do. If you go to America and they're going to barber hair, that's about $50 to barber hair. So imagine if you are going every week or every 2 weeks, what those barbers are making. Those barbers are living a good life. If you see their cars, just from barbering, they're living a good life.
To improve their living standard.
Can't we adopt that philosophy in a country like Nigeria?
All right. Thank you very much. You mentioned Indonesia, where they have state-of-the-art equipment for training pilots. Then Osogbo too, where they have equipment, modern ones for training automobile technicians.
There are 4 technical colleges that have been reconstructed. Ijebu-Desha, Ogun, Osogbo, and Ile-Ife. The one at Ile-Ife, I think they are known for food and nutrition. Oh my God.
Okay.
You know? So we have 5 others. Iwo, Ara, Oshu, and Oton. Okay. Those ones are the 5 that have not been reconstructed, and the SQG project ended with those 4. So by the time we reconstruct those other 5, we reorganize their curriculum, add other things like entrepreneurship, this state will be bold. Another states will come and copy. Because back in the days, Lagos used to come and borrow from Osun, and they tried to copy. Even the government in Osogbo has produced a lot of people. So they used to come to recruit from Liver Brothers and all other organizations. You know, so it's just the mindset. It's just to focus that we say that the government has to say technical and vocational education is somewhere we need to invest in. Once we have that mindset, I'll tell you, our idea will just shoot up.
So how soon do you think we will start getting results?
Very, very soon. We're in talks. We are talking to ourselves. We are talking to investors. We are trying to do so many other things. We are trying to solicit the support of the government and also Osun State and the governor as well. But you see, it takes a little time because there are priorities in the states, which the government is focusing on. Because we inherited so many things from the last administration, which the governor is working tirelessly to fix. But education is his priority. Just like roads. If you look at the roads in Osun, the roads were in new look.
All right. What was the state of technical and vocational education in the past compared to the present? What are the challenges facing the growth of this institution across the country?
I believe the challenges is that the awareness, number one.
Okay.
Must create that awareness that this is where the future lies. Once we can create that awareness, because looking at someone like me now, if I wasn't the special advisor on technical and vocational education, I won't really look in that direction. But as a special advisor, I open my eyes. That's opened my eyes to so many things, and I listen to news, I listen to so many things, and every time they mention technical and vocation, because look at the state of the economy now. No matter how bad the economy is, someone like Buluji must make a hair, right? You will make your hair. Your hair must be done.
Exactly.
So there are certain things that must be done. A man must barb his hair. People are building houses. They must be tiling. They must be electrical. Regardless of how bad it is, things are still be done. So if those things are constant and regardless of the price of fuel, those things are being done. So you can know that people can make money from those areas. So and that is what we are trying to do. We're trying to train people in areas where they can make money regardless of the cost.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me this.
Good.
You talked about the Osogbo Technical College having a lot of modern automobile equipment. Now there is this trend, this new trend now, the federal government trying to introduce compressed gas cars, cars that will be, powered by gas. Do you have any plan of tilting the training of students toward that area?
You see, we must start from somewhere.
Okay.
If you look at the United States government, there are cars that use gas, hybrid cars that use gas and petrol, and there are some that use petrol. Use gas. Okay. So when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it.
Okay.
Considering the dichotomy between the university graduates and the graduates of polytechnics or whatever, will you advocate for a total removal of this dichotomy? Has it done the nation well?
You see, this is my belief. When I was in university, there's just back in the days when you go to university, when you have people in university tend to look down on students in polytechnic. Okay, but I was made to believe that the practical aspect of certain courses are taught better or are done better in polytechnics. And I like there's a new program put out by the NPT that if you have an OND or HND, you can convert it to a BSc. That's good. See, there shouldn't be any disparity whether you go to a polytechnic or you go to a university. Let me give you an example because I work in America. When people get out of secondary school, which they call high school, they first go through college, maybe a community college for like 1 year. After that community college, then they go to the second year in university. That community college preps them because they're just coming out of high school, they're still young, they're not exposed, so it preps them for university. So they take courses which are transferable in university, so that way there are no waste. So if we tailor our polytechnics that way, and universities, education is education. We should not discriminate whether somebody goes to polytechnic, whether someone goes to university. No knowledge is lost. Because look at most of the successful people today. Who cares which university or polytechnic they went? Nobody cares. I don't know which polytechnic or university Dangote went. I know Tony Lumelu went to Benin State University. I don't know where Ademola went. But I know he's a billionaire. And that's what matters. He's a billionaire. And that's what matters. Look at Bill Gates. Bill Gates was a dropout. And so many of them. Look at the guy in Facebook, Mike Zuckerberg. Same thing. So why should we say, okay, it's not when you go to university or when you go to polytechnic that will make you successful. No, it's you. It comes from you. Success is within you. It's inbuilt. It's within you. It's not from where you go. Because if you take someone like Ademola or Dangote to a desert, they will draw water from it. So I try to tell people, it's not from where you go. Whether you go to like you went to university, no, it is you. You have to rediscover yourself. You have to look inwards, look at your abilities, look at what you really like to do, and reinvent yourself.
Thank you very much. Now, talking about reinventing oneself, there is this belief that the Chinese, for instance, they've really gone so far in the area of technology and all the rest that most of the things they teach their children in school are written in the language. But the fact that we embrace English language classes and we go for kind of really that our courses cannot be translated into the indigenous language and imparting it onto the children that they learn more or understand more when you speak their language to them. What's your take on that?
You see, one thing I want to learn about the Chinese is that they're very efficient in whatever they're doing. They're very efficient. Now, you see, the problem is if we adopt that kind of style of education in our country, it it will hinder people from understanding English.
Okay.
Because even in I remember when I was in secondary school, we started. My friends always liked speaking Yoruba because at school in the north, they always liked speaking Yoruba, and it didn't help. It didn't help at all. Because I remember when I was in secondary school, I did Yoruba, I did Igbo, and I did Hausa. So that speaking of our native languages, I'm not sure if it will really get us to anywhere. So it's kind of it's something that we need to be very careful.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to be very, very careful because if you look at, let me tell you something, most of these world leaders, like Putin, if you grant an interview, he grants in Russia, that does not mean he doesn't know how to speak English. No. Even the president of Iran, I can't remember his name now, the former president of Iran, most of them schooled in the US. Quality education. But they want to promote the language of their country. That's why they don't grant interviews in public in English language.
So why are we not promoting the language too?
We should, but we have to be well educated to be able to promote our language. That's what I'm saying. But if we say, okay, it will be doing things in Yoruba will be the order of the day, Hausa will be the order of the day. So to me, I feel we haven't gotten to that level of development yet. Now things can still be taught in a native language for a teacher to drive home a point. But that does not mean that they should be encouraged to be speaking every time. Because once we encourage people to speak in that language, they forget the English language. And they won't be able to express themselves outside because they'll be so used to that native language. So it's a very tricky area in which one must go. It's a very tricky area.
All right. Thank you very much, Architect. How visible is it for the introduction of a technical and vocational education at the primary level? What is the situation in the developed countries, and how visible is it in the country?
In the primary level, I don't know if it's too visible. I believe it should be centered really on the senior level because the primary level is setting the foundation.
Okay.
Primary school is let me tell you something. And this is what I tell people. Learning how to read and write depends on the quality of education you got from your primary and secondary. When you get to university, you are building upon what you have learned. If you are not being taught how to read and write, but your primary and secondary education, that's the most important aspect of education, which should not be taken for granted, which one must holistically embrace. Because for me, when I look back at my primary school and my secondary school, that was when I learned how to read and how to write. And it may amaze you, sometimes the way we write and the way we speak is wrong. But we don't take cognizance of that fact. It's wrong. The way the British write and read is wrong from the way the Americans. But sometimes we may say some things and it's grammatically wrong, but we don't notice. Even right.
Is that not affecting the education and the people?
No, it's not. It has to do with not only Nigeria, even in the Western world. That's why if you speak to an American, he cannot really speak good English. He speaks phonetics. But when you speak to a British person, they speak good English. So Americans will use we and instead of saying we were going to church or we went to church, they will say we was. And you look at it now, and this is America. I've noticed this several times. Sometimes the educated ones here speak, but the ones who are not too educated don't speak good English. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying here is that primary and secondary is very, very important in the education of an individual. Now, bringing technical there, I won't really support that, but I really say at the secondary level, because at the primary level, you need to be taught basic English, math, physics, and all that. But at the secondary level, they start introducing and they start saying, okay, what do you want to become? Some of you want to become a pilot, want to become an engineer. So at that level, some people say, I want to become a businessman. So at that level, they can start introducing that. So I would encourage at the second level, it's very good. But at the primary level, I don't think so.
Thank you very much. Now, this is the 21st century, where digital skills is a new thing now. No. Do you have any plan? Because there was a time you talked about the legislation that will aid in the smooth running of the technical. Do you have any plan of also introducing digital skills to those that will learn?
Digital skills is very important. Every child must learn how to use it. Any child that can use a phone should go to use a computer. So it's very important. And you learn to use a computer, it's not easy, it's not difficult. So it is digital skills, and that's one of the things that's why we brought. That's why I believe the government of Nigeria commissioned skills, because it's a high-tech company. I've been to their office in Abuja, and I was amazed. I saw young graduates. If you see what young graduates are doing, and even with my conversation with them, they want to establish an innovation hub, a replica of what they have in Abuja across the 6 geopolitical zones. Osun State should benefit from that. Osun State should benefit from that. And that innovation hub is going to be housed in a university. I don't know whether it's going to be privately owned or state owned or federally. It's going to be housed in a university. This will help, because that innovation hub helps people who are going to business. It does so many things. There's a ceramic workshop there, there's a tailoring workshop there, there's fishery, there's irrigation, there's so many things there. So digital skills is very important, because all you need to do is just design it on a computer, print it out, and execute. So that's the kind of thing we need, and that's where the world is going to. Digital.
All right. Thank you. Let me ask you this, because when I actually mentioned the issue of legislation, is that in Nigeria, it is known that when a government, an administration ends, there is no continuity. When another administration comes in, he might decide that, no, I'm not working with this policy, I'm doing away with this policy. And most of the time, the people suffer. You mentioned the fact that former governor Olagoso started some innovation at technical colleges, and they were abandoned. Now, what exactly are you trying to ensure that even when the government leaves, all the things you have decided to put in place in these colleges will be maintained and there will be continuity?
You see, I believe governance is continuity, and the APC had 12 years, of governance, and today there's nothing to show for it in technical and vocational education, though they tried their best to do as much as they could do. Now, when I came in as a special advisor, I believe in building and not destroying. There was an SSA who was in charge of technical and vocational education, senior special assistant, and I have an essay. I had to go to the SSA to brief me on what has been done and where she stopped. So I, as an individual, I don't believe in destroying. I believe in building. Because regardless of political party, like SDP, APC, PDP, we all own Osun State. We are all stakeholders in Osun State. So for Osun State to move forward, I don't believe in destroying something because of politics and then bringing something new. If we see a good thing, build upon it. Let me give you a very good example. Look at the road from Ekuru to Oshogo. it was abandoned, it was done up to her. When our governor came in, he saw that as an opportunity and he did it. And so many other things.
For the welfare of the people.
The welfare of the people. Because when they're not voting, people move around. So that is he saw an opportunity. This road was done, I wasn't finished. Let me just do it and get the glory. And that's what we're going to do to vocational and technical education. We're going to pick up from where APC stopped. And we're going to create a legacy for this administration. So that APC will look and they will regret. But that is the belief, and that's what the demonstration of Ademola delegate is doing. Building on certain things that will happen and not just destroying because of that. So Governor Miller had good intention in creating 9 technical colleges, but APC could not see, and that is why we're this. But we, the PDP, they have come back today. We are going to make sure that legacy is to the glory of the People's Democratic Party.
All right. The aspect of legislation, you say you go to the State House of Assembly, they have to pass on. What are the things that you want us to legislate?
We went to State House of Assembly, and I gave them hints.
Okay.
That look, they should look in this area of legislating certain bills so that we can generate revenues for the state.
Okay.
You can create an awareness for technical and vocational education. You can encourage people that look, this is there. Because we have to get to a time where either a mechanic, a barber, or hairdresser is held liable for what he or she does, whether he does it good or bad. And that's one thing in developed countries. You can report a business, you can report it to Better Business Bureau, and you can write a review, and they will be fined. So we need to get to that point when certain things are legislated. So a mechanic cannot just feel that he can spoil your car or buy you a wrong part and go scot-free. No. When there's legislation, people will sit down. And that's why I try to tell the members of our assembly that look, once we get the technical colleges up and running and everything, bills should be passed so that people are paying. When you are paying monthly fees from a certificate, and the certificate is hanging, you will do well to people's cars and do well to people's stuff, and you won't treat human beings like animals.
Is that idea including licensing the certified apprentices?
Yes, it includes that. They need to be licensed.
That's government monitoring this.
That's government monitoring. Yes, that's it. That's government monitoring them. And then when a certain business does not do what they are specified or designed to do, you close them down. So when you discipline one has to sit on.
Alright.
And we discipline.
Alright, thank you. Let's look at this area. Some graduates in the country have been found fabricating something like the tractors, like a aeroplane. Because they are talented, they are skillful. So what kind of intervention and assistance should such people receive in the country towards making the country developed?
Technologically. Most of the time when you get such people in Nigeria, before you know it, they're out. Because their talents are not being rewarded.
They are left alone.
Exactly.
See, that's a big problem for Nigeria. And it shocks me a lot. We don't promote our manufacturers. We don't promote our made in Nigeria products. Let me give you an example now. Look at Innocent, they make cars. Why isn't the federal government patronizing Innocent? Why aren't states patronizing Innocent? Okay? If the states and the federal government patronizes them, that will strengthen our naira. If you go to the United States of America, you hardly see a senator driving a Japanese car. Ford, what they made in America. And that's why Ford company is still in existence till today. Because they have the backing of the US government. But in Nigeria, it's not like that. There's no encouragement. But by the time we start encouraging our indigenous people to manufacture things, when we give them money to do that, that's how we can boost our economy. It pains me when any small thing you bring Japan. Yes, Japanese cars are good. I'm not saying Japanese cars are not good, but we need to encourage. If you look at the area of the military, pujos were a lot of day, from the president to the ministers to governors. Pujos, where has that gone? Where has that gone? And that's one of the problems and challenges we have in this country. We don't patronize ourselves.
Thank you very much. Now, you talked about one of the benefits of technical education, vocational education, is actually producing entrepreneurs. Now, entrepreneurs in Nigeria are having a lot of challenges: infrastructure decay, power, energy. Now, by the time you encourage them to go into the technical colleges and then vocations, and they are back in the society without having the necessary infrastructure that government should provide for them to stand on their feet, how do you think they can actually make it?
Well, as a business owner in Nigeria, it's tough. But despite that, sometimes it's the aspect of power is a very complex problem. What I believe is certain individuals are sabotaging the effort of government. But now, if we ask ourselves, is government really ready to fix power? We need to ask ourselves that question. Or is it that certain people are sabotaging the effort of government? That's what to be. I see it is. Because we have been talking about power. And we're not getting anywhere. But you see, as young entrepreneurs, sometimes you have to think outside the box. Because in the midst of challenges, there are opportunities. And I'll give you a good example. The COVID. Yes, it killed so many people, but opportunities came out. A lot of opportunities came out. Remote, sitting in your house and listening to your pastor, going to school remotely, doing things remotely was not really Nigerian's thing in those days. But now look at it. You can have a meeting.
Virtual meeting.
You can have virtual meeting. Nobody really believes in virtual meeting.
All right. Because of our time, we have to, as we're rounding up, brother. What's your advice to parents at home and other stakeholders towards enhancing the growth of technical and vocational educations in the country? Shortly.
My advice to residents in Osun State and other people watching is that parents must know their children. Parents must monitor their children. Parents must interact with their children. And parents must observe their children. Like I said, it's not everybody that should go to university. It's not everybody that should be a doctor. It's not everybody that should be an architect. Some people are born with certain skills right from their little age. So when a parent knows that this child is born with this skill, they should encourage them to go in a certain trade.
This technical, vocational,
technical
education trade,
so that they can get the necessary skills in that trade. Still, even after going through that, they can still go to university. They only go and get a university degree. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So we want to increase the awareness for technical.
Thank you very much, so Architect. Obvious, this is the confident point on the program today. Let's discuss. We've been examining the importance of technical and vocational education.
And our guest has been Architect Dapo Ademola Adeshina, Special Advisor to the Governor of Technical and Vocational Education.
Yes, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And this is where we're saying our bye on today's edition of Let's Discuss. The producer of the program is Ademola.
Obolade.
My name is Oluchi.
I am Adebari Jumake.
I say you.
Goodbye.